Hello everyone and welcome back to another cello technique lesson. I'm Ilia Laporev and today we're gonna do Feuillard Studies of the Young Cellist number 38, which is a great study for the right hand. This is a great study to develop control in your wrist and to be active in your right hand. So can you see that motion? This is a very good exercise for this. And besides, there are some nice variations, but we're gonna do this step by step. And if you're new here on this channel, welcome, I'm Ilia Laporev. If you like the content that I'm making, then consider to subscribe. And of course, financial support is always welcome. I have a Patreon page, links in the video description below, where you can support my work and value that I'm giving to you. So again, link in the video description below. And also, if you don't have the book or PDF of these studies that I'm covering by Feuillard, you can find also the link to the PDF in the video description below. So just click on it, download it, print it out, and go practice. All right, now let's see what's up with this study. Let's go. Okay, you did realize that the fast tempo is not the one that you have to do, right? Make sure that you are following more the second version, so the slower version, which actually I think that's the original tempo. As it's 8th notes and with staccato, it's impossible to play this extremely fast. I was just messing around with you. All right, but let's dive right into the exercise. Let's start quickly with the left hand. There is not much going on in the left hand, except there are some shiftings going on. But if you have followed my other videos of the Feuillard, then I guess until now you know what I mean. So here you might have some intonational problems or left hand anticipation problems. But again, I'm not going to really go deep into it because you can check my other videos that I have made before. But okay, let's say you are new here. This is the first time you're seeing this video. So let me quickly say what you can do here in the left hand. Let me see if I can give you 1-2 tips here. So when it's about intonation, it's easily fixed. And how we can fix this is by simply drilling it, or in other words, practice it. So I'm not going to really explain in words how I practice on intonation. Instead, I'm gonna show you how I would practice on intonation. In fact, I'm gonna show you different ways how I would practice on that. But before I continue, I just want to mention that there are so many ways to practice intonation and everyone has its own way of practicing intonation. But all of this will be useless if you don't use your ears. Yeah, that's right. Your ears are your best weapon. So be quite critic with yourself. So if you hear and know that it's not right, fix it. That's it. But you need to hear it. There are plenty of ways that you can check out your intonation. Let's say that if your ear is not developed yet, there is always a cello drone that you can put on YouTube. In this case here, the Etude is in D minor, right? So what you want to do is just to find cello drone D minor if there's a cello drone on YouTube. You just put it and you just put it as a bass note and then you listen to it. This is pretty useful to do. But okay, I'm not used to practice with cello drone because, well, when I was younger, when I was practicing the intonation, YouTube didn't exist, so I didn't have these kind of facilities. So let's do it the old school way. Yeah, so make sure that your cello is in tune, first of all, not like me. That was probably because of the fast tempo I was playing and then my cello got out of tune. Besides also, where I'm right now, I'm in Brazil and this is like 30 degrees, or in Fahrenheit might be, I don't know, 80 something degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty warm and my cello, of course, it gets out of tune easily. But anyway, if you have noticed one thing during my ways of practice, I never use vibrato when I am searching for the note, because when we're doing vibrato, we can camouflage, right? We can camouflage the intonation. Let's say if we're taking a too low pitch with vibrato, we can kind of like bypass it. So it's not ideal. It's nice to do it without vibrato, so it hurts most. I know it's a little bit annoying, that way of practice, but results will be guaranteed. Anyway, this was just a way of how I would practice on intonation. Of course, as I mentioned before, there are so many other ways to practice, but again, your ears, this is the most important, right? You can use this cello drone thing that I mentioned before. I will put a link in the video description below where you can click on it and just, use this as a bass and you play along with it. So this might be useful. Anyway, I don't want to get stuck in the mud with the left hand. For this, there are other videos, but in general, left hand is just practicing, drilling it, and yeah, just listen to it with your ear. That's all I have to say for the left hand. As this is an exercise for the right hand, let's see what we have here for this guy over here. As well, that's why you're here for the right hand, because this is an exercise for the right hand, obviously. Okay, so first thing here, we need to know on which part of the bow we have to play this thing. As we see on the score, it's marked SP. What means SP? SP means an der Spitze, which is German for at the tip of the bow. So there you go, you have learned a new word in German. And as we are at the tip of the bow, there's one particular finger, so one of these four guys that is more important than the other ones. Can you tell me which one? If you paid attention at the beginning of the video, you must know. Index finger, my friends. Index finger is crucial here in this exercise. As on the score, it's marked staccato. We need a lot of our index finger. So this guy over here, we need to put some weight or pressure or whatever. Although I don't like to use this kind of words, but we need to have more control and more weight on that finger. See? Because if we do not have a control of our index finger, we'll get this sound here. So it's not really what is written in the score. But when we are having a better contact and control with our index finger, then it's going to be easier to do the staccato thing. So press and release. So did you hear the difference? That's why it's important to have a very good control of our index finger. If you are having difficulties in the beginning, then I suggest you to do everything on one string. It could be open string, it could be scales, or if you want to dive right into the exercise, you can play just the lower voice. Let me show you. So I just have played the lower voice of this exercise, so the lower string. So what is important here is that let's do this very slowly. So we want to make sure that we get this back, 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 this kind of articulation. So we want to put some pressure. I know there are going to be some haters over there that are going to criticize that I use the word pressure, but I don't care. But it is like you put some weight, so make sure to have a good contact on the bow. Can you see? And you release. course, I'm exaggerating. But it's just to understand. And the hand and the arm is very steady. So no loosen up. Be steady. It's actually a very small movement. It's back, duck, duck, like that. See? Anyway, another way that you can practice this is by playing only a bow, and then after that, only the down bows. But anyway, let me show you so you have a better picture of it. Sometimes you're not going to get the sound that you want, but it's just for the control. See? Shit. Better. And everything with a small movement. So make sure that you sit on the string and then you release. Anyway, I'm playing random notes now. But watch how my hand goes. So there are a couple of things that I can tell you. I know there are some sounds, it's sounding not so great, but I have here a few tips for you that you can remember when playing this. Don't go too close to the bridge, because when you go too close to the bridge, you get this sound. Then you get ponticello, and that's not the sound that you want. Neither go too much at the fingerboard, so not too much over here, because then it gets flautando, which is airy, and this is also not the sound that we want. And besides, you're gonna get rosen here. So if you are playing higher passages, then you're gonna have rosen on your fingers, and this is just annoying. So I would find a balance. Maybe I would go towards the fingerboard, but not too high. And another thing is that you can keep in mind is that it's written under Spitze, so really at the tip of the bow. Maybe you can cheat a little bit and go a little bit more over here. So don't play too much at the tip, because it's even more difficult to control. So check it out. It's completely possible, but cello playing is already difficult. Why to make it more difficult than it already is? So why we don't play more or less over here, which is also considered as the tip of the bow. So here you're gonna have also a better connection. So see how it sounds immediately? It sounds free, because when we play over here, it's more secco, dry. I mean, that's up to you. If you want to have a dry sound, then of course you go really at the tip. But I would suggest go a little bit more over here, okay? And then you try. But anyway, that's up to you. You need to find it by yourself. I'm just giving you a few instruments, like what you need to pay attention, but that's up to you. You need to search which area suits you best, but definitely don't go further than that, okay? Because the etude, it's written SP, and we need to respect what is written in the score. Okay, good. Now that we did the up bow, let's do now the down bow. So what do I mean with that? Like that. So make sure, again, index finger, that he's playing a crucial role. Press and release. Press and release. Of course, don't do the same as I'm doing, because you're not going to play the etude like this. No, that's wrong. I'm just doing it because we're doing it separately. And make sure that the sound continues, okay? Good. If you're following my suggestions and doing all these steps, then I'm pretty sure that your index finger is already developing, at least a little bit. This takes a little bit of time, as everything else on the cello. So don't think that this is gonna work out in one practice session. No, this you're gonna need to find, to search, and always this takes time. So a common mistake that I see often when people are playing this kind of things is the arm. This is best played when your arm is steady. So as you can see, it's steady over here. Because when your arm is too relaxed, so like that, yeah, then we're not going to have a good control with our hand, and the whole mechanism seems weird and feels weird. And when you're playing with a too relaxed arm, you're gonna feel after a few measures that your hand, especially that part over here, is gonna be tired. And even maybe hurting in some cases. So you wanna avoid that. So make sure that it's steady, okay? Check this difference. When it's steady, can you see? And now we're gonna be playing this with a relaxed arm, so like this. Immediately the sound is different. So we lose total control. Okay, so pay attention to this. This is a common mistake, and I want you not do that common mistake. All right, so now let's do the next step. Let's combine now with the 2 strings, but still step by step. So let's play this, the first 2 notes, then we do a little break and prepare for the next one. And like this we do for a couple of measures. But again, let me show you instead of explaining, because maybe it's easier for you to understand when I play. But okay, let's say that you're feeling comfortable with 2 notes, with a break, 2 notes again, and so on. Let's try now 4 notes, so like this. And so on. So when again you're feeling comfortable with this, with 4 notes per bow, then we can do the whole measure. So we play 1 measure, then we do a break, 1 measure, and so on. So let's try this. Good. Good. And so on. So that's actually it for this study. This thing here is not only to develop that thing on your hand, but also your endurance or your stamina, so the strength, like how far can you go here in the study. So in the beginning, you might have trouble by playing this etude from the beginning until the end, because it gets tiring after a while. So that's why I like to do this part by part, as I showed you in the previous examples. And like this, I add more and more notes until I reach the end of the study. All right, we spoke about this a little bit before, right? But let's check a little bit again about the wrist, the activity, and how this mechanism works, okay? So you need to imagine that you're getting electrical shocks over here. So it's like you're touching a metal object, could be like you're opening a door. So you're taking, and then you feel that electrical shock, so zzz. That kind of feeling has to be that one, see? So it's very important that you are active. Check it out. And see how my arm is minimal movement. Of course, it's going a little bit up, but don't exaggerate. So I don't want to see this. No, because you hear the sound already is worse. So again, when you're using a lot of arm movement, first of all, the sound gets screwed up and automatically you start to use a big amount of bone. No, for this exercise, everything has to be small. Everything has to be cool and everything has to be minimalist. So instead of... So you can hear immediately the difference of sound. And very important in the wrist is, so this electrical shock, so don't relax. So don't think that, this exercise is like this. Then it's pointless to do this exercise. So now that we're doing 2 strings, we're ready. So we're moving immediately to the A string. And then we go back. Back. So right hand anticipation. Usually I always talk about left hand anticipation, but here in this case it's about right hand anticipation when we are doing only open strings. But when we add the left hand, then both hands are going to be anticipating. So ready. My first thing is ready. In position. Let's say now we have a shift. See, I'm ready. On the moment I make use of that open string to make the shift. There I am. Ready. Ready. Because if you wait too long, you're not going to have accurate shiftings and it's going to be just all over the place. So left hand and right hand anticipation. Keep in mind. Good. For the rest, I have nothing else to add here in this study. This study is actually practice, 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 and you'll be fine. Of course, if you practice the right way. All right, so now let's go into the variations over here. We have 4 variations. Variation 1 and 2 are completely okay, and they're much easier than the original study. I made another video for this kind of string crossing, so you might want to check that out. You just need to click right on this card over here. But let me play for you the first measures so you have an idea how it sounds like, and also pay attention on which part of the bow I am playing this exercise. Now, last variation, variation number 4. Okay, but that will be for another time. If you're a beginner, wait for it. If you're already advanced or above that level, then okay, you don't need my instructions. But I'm gonna make a future video about this bow stroke. Okay, and that's it for today's lesson. I hope you understood how all these mechanism things work and how the study works in general. It's no big deal, it just needs time. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and for the newcomer, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And with this, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Happy practicing!